Who will be the king of the Big 12 South?
Big 12 South.
The Big 12 South.
The Big 12 South.
The Big 12 South.
A three-way tie in the Big 12 South.
Best race in college football. The best race, perhaps in the history of the Big 12 Conference. Will it be Texas Tech, Oklahoma, or Texas?
Talking Texas, new addition to that defense, Luke's.
Well, Will Muschamp, obviously the enthusiasm, and I think a lot of pressure up front in front seven. You're going to see a lot of interesting packages. Colt is back and healthy, and what are they going to do at running back with Jamal Charles gone?
Texas, perhaps a huge part of the Big 12 South picture. We saw Texas Tech, dynamic offense, difficult to stop. Maybe if they get some defense, could they make this a three-horse race with Oklahoma and Texas?
You know, I really think they can. Ruffin McNeil, the defensive coordinator who came in last year after the Oklahoma State game, everybody forgot because of the blow-up in the other locker room. There were some blow-ups in Texas Tech's locker room after that loss. Listen, we all know what they can do on offense. At times, they are unstoppable. 36 of their top 44 players are back. And I do think this may be the year where we have a three-horse race in the South.
Going over to the Big 12, Oklahoma, so many weapons, returning starters. Sam Bradford, great year. Look for a better defensive showing out of them. Oklahoma's going to run the Big 12.
Top to bottom, I think the Big 12 is now going to be, you're going to put them in that same conversation with the SEC. I mean, it's some tip-top competition.
And I think also, Aaron, you can make the argument that the Big 12 has the best quarterbacks in all of college football.
Oh, there's no question. You got to look at Sam Bradford of Oklahoma, who had arguably the best freshman season of all time, and what he was able to do offensively there. Zach Robinson, a very good player, probably the best on Oklahoma State's team. Not a guy you hear a lot about. Todd Reesing at Kansas, Chase Daniel at Missouri. There's so many good quarterbacks. Graham Harrell, Texas Tech, and all those yards. Guys, is there a conference in the country from top to bottom that has better quarterbacks than the Big 12?
Nope.
Spez, what may make this game very special, though, is you've got two quarterbacks both playing at the top of their game, two guys that could end up in New York trying to win the Heisman Trophy. Does either have the edge in this one?
I don't know. Listen, I think the fact, Jason, that the Big 12 did a little bit of sleight of hand this year. Their conference play didn't start until this week. I mean, actually last week. So that was the first week. So everybody else had got a week ahead of the Sooners against relatively weak competition. So we've got this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a delayed sense of who they really are. And so we don't really know who these teams are against top-notch competition.
You are looking live at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. For over a century, Oklahoma and Texas have waged one of the fiercest rivalries in college football. Today's classic on ABC is presented by Best Buy. It is the 103rd matchup of the Red River rivalry as number 5 Texas and number 1 Oklahoma meet in a game where bragging rights are just the beginning. The AP Top 5 tells you the story. Not only taking dead aim at a Big 12 title, but also a national championship. Kirk, I know you guys have talked about these quarterbacks all along. That's their total yards, remember, rushing as well as passing. Touchdowns, even though Bradford not known for his running, he has scored a couple rushing, and each of them tossed 3 interceptions.
Both playing as well as anybody, not only in their own conference where quarterback play is exceptional, but in the entire nation.
Moving the pocket right and left. Receive juggle. Caught in the end zone on a ricochet. Touchdown. Broyles caught it. Return from the 5-yard line is Shipley. Big hole. Shipley. End zone ahead, folks. Touchdown, Longhorns. Stands tall in the pocket, has all day, and wide open is Gresham. Headed end zone. Touchdown, Sooners. Hurting them while running. He's going to throw for it. Got a man open. Touchdown, Texas. Shipley again. Play fake. Bradford on the roll. There's a penalty flag down. Caught by Johnson for a touchdown, but there is a penalty flag. So are they saying it was against Texas? They knew right away. First down. Shipley's wide open. Touchdown, Texas. They're going to mark this inside the 1-yard line. Johnson right straight ahead for the touchdown. That's his second score of the day. Signaling Cosby on the outside. Keeping it run by his hands. He's got an alley off to the races. He's got speed. 10, 5, dive, out. Down as a blocker. Johnson to the end zone, touchdown. They got the prevent back there in the end zone. Out of bounds. And the Red River rivalry comes up Texas and Colt McCoy.
No, they had a good game plan. The open area on the field was the middle of the field.
Yep.
If we could attack the middle of the field, we felt like we had a chance.
Guess what, though, Colt? Short celebration. As you know, it's Chase Daniel, another good quarterback, coming to Austin next week for a shootout. How do you see that?
Chase is great. Again, you know, there's so many Big 12 quarterbacks that are awesome. He's doing a tremendous job up there. And they're probably going to be number one. We're going to get to face 2 number ones in a row, and how awesome is that?
Not so fast, my friend. Don't they play Oklahoma State tonight?
Yeah, they do.
Hey, just in case, you know.
Just in case.
Why shouldn't Texas be number one?
Hey, we've been under the radar this whole time. What do you mean?
Not anymore. Not anymore. No longer under the radar. 45-35, a great duel of quarterbacks, but it's McCoy and the Longhorns that walk out of Big D still undefeated.
Well, let's take a look and talk about the QB bunch in the Big 12.
Now we're going to go through the season down here in the Big 12. There's so many great ones, but we'll look at the pass efficiency. That's how we'll rank them this week. It's amazing how good the offenses are, and it all traces back to the 2 coaches on the sidelines today. Bob Stoops hired Mike Leach out of Kentucky to come in when he was brought to Oklahoma, and also brought Mark Mangino, and they've splintered out around the conference.
Much, but they certainly got into a rhythm and did. Rivera makes the tackle on Madu. 9 seconds down to 8. Final score, Oklahoma 45 and Kansas 31. Don't forget, tune in tonight for number 11 Missouri at number 1 Texas. That one down in Austin on the 40 acres.
Chase Daniel, of course, last week with Missouri. He really felt that he let his team down. The 3 turnovers in the second half against Oklahoma State in the loss. He's been anxious to get back on the field now for 7 days. And Colt McCoy, the hottest quarterback in the country, completing 79% of his passes. I got a feeling this is going to be another shootout in the Big 12.
4-man rush on 3rd and 12. McCoy can't find an open receiver. Going to go end zone. Touchdown! Field judge signaling touchdown to Malcolm Williams. In for Mac Brown. McGee is now the running back. They snap it off to Shipley. The roommates run an end zone. Touchdown, Texas. Can't stop this offense. They got Oklahoma State coming in here next week. And then on November 1st, circle that Texas Tech game, folks. That might be the toughest one. They get Baylor at home, but then they have to go to Kansas, like Kirk said. Let's not go to sleep on Kansas up in Lawrence.
Texas is up next for the Red Raiders. Remember, Texas plays Oklahoma State today on ABC at 3:30. Then you get Oklahoma State and Oklahoma.
Now you talk about Texas, the Longhorns, they've kind of gone through murder's row of their schedule. You look there at Texas, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma for Texas Tech. And a lot of people feel like, you know, they've been in this position before and not really able to close the deal. This might be the year that Mike Leach gets this Red Raider football team to close the deal.
Yeah. 4 of the top 8 in the BCS standings are in this division, and of course Oklahoma State and Texas will do battle on ABC at 3:30.
Yeah, good point. These 2 right here are going to take care of themselves here at some point before the day's end.
Here's Woods, and he'll walk in another Texas Tech touchdown, 55-14.
Boy, just making it look easy. Boy, I don't know all season long, and this is film study included, if I've seen an offense that clicks the way the Texas Tech Red Raiders do. I mean, you talk about hitting on all cylinders. They are a machine offensively.
The Longhorns of Texas taking on the 6th-ranked Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Welcome to Austin, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler. This could be a dandy today. Obviously, both teams are unbeaten. Texas Tech has won today. Somebody's going to have to lose in this Big 12 South, and whoever does is out of the Big 12 picture and the national title hunt. Robinson in the middle of the field, as Paul said, complete to the 49 to Des Bryant. Robinson deep. A convoy out there, and it is picked off. Texas wins.
How does this year's race in the Big 12 compare to other years?
Well, it's just unbelievable, Stacy, that the Big 12 South is like a great conference itself, and there's some great northern teams too, but here we are, we get through with this, and now we head to Lubbock.
All right, congratulations. Thanks.
For the third straight week, the Longhorns meet a top 11 team. They survived them all, barely.
Looking ahead to next week, Texas at Texas Tech. Each team could have 560 in that game. The Longhorns, Kirk, have beaten them 7 straight times, but I get the feeling this is a different Texas Tech team. An impressive performance at Kansas. Are they ready to pull the upset?
Well, you made a point on College Game Day earlier about this appears to be a different Texas Tech team because of what they were able to do earlier this year when they got tested in some games on the road, and they fought through and took care of business. Now, all of a sudden, you look at what they did today against Kansas. If you didn't respect Texas Tech before this, you better now, because it's not just, wow, Mike Leach can coach offense. This team has offense. They can run the ball if they have to. They throw it, obviously.
Michael Crabtree is the best receiver in the country. Yep. And I tell you what, he catches the football, he runs past people. This is going to be a shootout for sure.
Imagine your favorite team bracing for the biggest showdown in school history against a hated in-state rival just after sundown. The Red Raider Nation has never been larger, never been louder. Tonight, a long-awaited chance where respect. Can any defense get enough stops to win this game? Look at the power of these two
unbelievable.
offenses. Look at the 3 and outs, only 7 all year for Texas Tech, all year. Texas is a favorite, but if you follow these sort of things, some support's been going towards Texas Tech. And look at America's vote. 52% of you out there, and there have been a lot of votes, believe the Red Raiders will take down the Longhorns here tonight.
You are looking live at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas, for the biggest game in Texas Tech history. It's on Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Tonight, the Big 12 again takes center stage. Number 1 Texas faces number 7 Texas Tech. The winner stays unbeaten and remains very much in the BCS title game hunt. Not an empty seat to be had. The toughest ticket in all of Texas this week. A power I formation, conservative in the end zone, safety. A safety on the first handoff of the game, Colby Whitlock. Seconds ticking away, and it'll be Batch touchdown. Baron Batch with the evening's first touchdown. Low snap, picks it up, got a man wide open, touchdown. And with Cosby injured, Shipley fields it at the 45. This is going to be great field position for the Horns. He's got an alley. There is a penalty flag down as he goes into the end zone.
There is no foul for illegal block in the back. The action is legal.
Touchdown, Shipley. Steps up, intercepted. Picked off by Charbonnet. And Charbonnet scores. Complete. And running for the end zone is Williams. Touchdown, Texas. Malcolm Williams. Crowd alive in Lubbock. Got a man open. Got him. And in a foot race is Williams pulling away. They won't catch him. Touchdown, Texas. Gets the call. End zone. Touchdown. Can't take a sack. Deflected, intercepted, Texas. No, they rule it down, incomplete. I thought for sure that he had deflected it to Gideon.
The ball's up in the air. The true freshman, Blake Gideon. Brent comes underneath it. That's a drill that you work on all the time. It goes right through his arm.
I saw it in his legs, and I thought he'd had it.
Still 1 timeout left here for Texas Tech. 8 seconds.
Second down now. Deep strike. Got the big man. Crabtree pulls free. And touchdown. Red Raiders with a second to go. The fans have stormed the field. They're going to have to clear the field here.
relying on the best receiver in college football to make a play, and the strength of his hands. Big-time players make big plays in big games, and that's what Michael Crabtree just did.
Squibbit. Here comes the lateral. There's one. Intercepted. Texas Tech upsets the #1 team in the country. No more penalties for this crowd.
Take me through that touchdown play, the game-winning play. What happened?
They try to man up Crab. There's not anyone in the country that can man up Crab. And I saw, the guy wasn't looking. I threw it behind him when he didn't see the ball. Crab makes a play. He's the best in the country. There's no doubt about it.
Describe that touchdown for us.
Oh, man, I don't want to say nothing, but I dreamed that the same way. It's crazy.
No, you did.
I dreamed in my head. I said, but you know how you do it every play you dream? But it really happened. So, I mean, it was great, man.
Should you guys be number one? Should you be number one right now?
I guess that's for the polls.
Well, the polls will decide. There will be a new #1. There may be a new frontrunner for the Heisman Trophy. Graham Harrell, 474 yards in the game-winning touchdown with 1 second to go. Thanks for joining us here. A wild night in Lubbock, Texas.
A lot of emotion there, but it seems simple for both Alabama and Texas Tech. Win out, and both are going to be in the national championship game. The Red Raiders leapfrogged an undefeated idle Penn State team to get to #2 in the BCS and still has games against Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, starting with the Cowboys this weekend.
Alabama expected to move up #1. They do, but Texas Tech gets the 2 spot, and Penn State remains the same there at 3. Your thoughts?
John, you follow this sport, so I mean, you know, last night after Texas Tech pulled off this big upset, everybody's sitting around wondering, is it going to be enough? Do you think Texas Tech can actually go by Alabama or Penn State or both or neither? And now that the standings are out, it's interesting to see that enough people were impressed with what Texas Tech did, knocking off the #1 ranked team to move them beyond Penn State. And now they sit there with some huge games still remaining this weekend. You touched on the Oklahoma State game. They get a bye week and then brace themselves as they go to Norman to take on Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners. It's still a long way to go for Texas Tech.
The #2 Red Raiders look to extend the longest winning streak in school history and in the nation as they host #9 Oklahoma State. Show pressure. Here they come. Crabtree touchdown. That's like stealing, folks. Throw to fade to the big man. Try to stop it, folks. Just try to stop it. Now, I want to show you the last 3 games, folks, if you want to look at something. 104 of 138 for over 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And still, the 3rd game is in progress. That's his last 3 games. You talk about why some people are putting him atop the Heisman Trophy list. This is an unbelievable performance. And it continues, that time with Lewis.
I'll tell you where the BCS will get really messy is if Texas Tech goes to Norman in 2 weeks and loses. Then,
well, here's one for you.
Then,
you know what happens if
it's going to get
Texas wins
crazy.
out?
And then
you know what
Florida
happens in the Big
beats
12
Alabama.
No, forget that. You know what happens in the Big 12 South?
What?
3-way tie?
BCS standings.
You got it.
And how do you going to rank those teams?
It's unbelievable.
Who do you rank ahead of who?
Unbelievable.
Goes and finally pushed out of bounds with 20 seconds to play.
Number 25, Jeremy Hills.
Well, we figure that Texas is going to hold on, and we'll give them the win. Yes. So Texas is 6-1 in conference play.
It all comes down to next week in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma. Texas Tech takes on the Sooners. Bob Stoops has only lost 2 home games in his coaching career. Wow.
Nation's longest home winning streak meets the nation's longest winning streak period. Chilly night, temps in the 30s, but shouldn't really affect either of these passers. Which guy, Bradford or Harrell, is going to get great protection they have all season, get some help from the running game, and stand and deliver under pressure, not just for the implications for their teams, but also
for the Heisman trophies.
Texas Tech has beaten Oklahoma 2 times in the last 4 years, both of them in Lubbock, not in Norman. Oklahoma wins the game in this place right here.
The key to the game to me is, can Oklahoma run the football? If they run the football, then it could be a long day for Texas Tech and their defense anyway.
Tonight, the number 2 Red Raiders storm into Norman with the nation's longest winning streak, and they face the explosive offense of number 5, Oklahoma. Sellout crowd on hand. The BCS standings. Texas Tech taking dead aim at Miami in the BCS championship game. Oklahoma hopes to climb aboard with a big win here tonight.
But it's not going to get much better than this. Graham Harrell, the hottest quarterback in the nation right now, and Sam Bradford. You can see the numbers. It's amazing to watch these guys execute. If they have time to throw, they'll both have big nights. Ultimately, Brent, it's not just deciding who might get a chance to get to Kansas City in a Big 12 championship, maybe who ultimately takes their team to the national championship. Plenty of room.
Brown cut off. Slashes back. Touchdown, OU.
He's going to go for it here on 4th down.
Steps away. Incomplete. The Oklahoma defense is the story.
As a group right now, they look like they're rattled as a team.
Play action going in zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Jermaine Gresham. Backpedaling. Incomplete. Broken up by Brian Jackson, and it is Sooner football. Picks it up easy. Touchdown. Intercepted at midfield. Picked off by Lewis. Lewis with great speed. Headed in zone. Just short.
What I worry about for Texas is that they went through a 4-game run when they were the story. And because of the way they lost, and all of a sudden they've kind of just disappeared a bit off the radar, and you worry for them, and it needs to continue to be brought up that they did beat Oklahoma head-to-head, and that's going to be their one thing.
Oh, caught beautifully by Johnson. Oh, my. So there's our Big 12 standings now. 3-way tie right now. 6-1. Texas Tech, Texas, and Oklahoma.
I think it's funny how Oklahoma needs to pull for Tech. Texas needs to pull for Oklahoma, and Oklahoma has to beat Oklahoma State. Because you need a 3-way tie. Because like you said, if you're Oklahoma and it's you against Texas, you're out of the discussion.
65 points on the board. What message did you send with that?
Well, we're productive offensively. Love the way we ran the ball. Sam Bradford, again, is just out of this world. The guy's incredible.
All right, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Brent.
All right, Lisa, thank you very much. Again, the Sooners roll 65-21 over previously unbeaten Texas Tech. Next Saturday now, we'll be in Stillwater, Oklahoma for number 5, Oklahoma, versus number 12, Oklahoma State, and that 5 will change for Oklahoma.
Bob Stoops has Oklahoma State this weekend, and his argument is as simple as a 44-point win over then number 2 Texas Tech, a team that beat Texas. While Matt Brown would say, we beat the Sooners 45-35 on a neutral field.
I think you just have to look at what you're doing at this point in time. I hear all the time, well, this team, if you're going to forgive Florida for losing at home to an unranked team, the reason people do, well, they're playing well right now. Well, we just beat the number 2 team in the country last weekend by 44 points, and a team that was only one of a handful of teams in the country that was undefeated and had just beaten Texas a couple weeks ago. So in the end, when there's a 3-way tie, you know, if you can't rank us ahead of Texas, then you have to keep Texas Tech in front of Texas. That's if you're going to use that kind of logic.
We're seeing emotional voters. When we played Kansas and won 35-7 on the road 2 weeks ago, we moved up in the polls and really separated from in some ways we got closer to Tech and separated from Oklahoma because they didn't watch them play. Saturday night, watching Oklahoma play and do so well, emotionally the voters jumped them up some. The same thing with Florida when they've had 2 good weeks in a row. So I think what happens is there's a lot of football left to play.
I'm Chris Fowler. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Austin, Texas. An old rivalry with a very new school twist, because if Texas Oklahoma and Texas Tech all win this weekend as expected. Big 12 South is a three-way tie. The fifth tiebreak. The BCS standings, 2/3 of the BCS. The pollsters, the coaches, and the Harris poll. And this is where the style points come into play, because Oklahoma's overwhelming victory over the Red Raiders last weekend jumped the Sooners over the Longhorns in this week's polls. Very narrow margin in the Harris poll. A little bit bigger in the coaches. They're all watching tonight.
We'll talk more about this BCS situation. Again, Texas' hold on number 2 is very much in jeopardy. Oklahoma will get a boost in the computers from playing the Cowboys. Texas not really helped by playing the Aggies here tonight. They got to hope that Oklahoma wins Saturday, but not by much, right?
Well, there's been a movement here, a couple different fronts. A Facebook page created that already has 17,700 members, and a website, 4535.com. They want folks to remember the score October the 11th in the Cotton Bowl when the Longhorns came from behind. A couple touchdowns in the last 7 minutes to beat Oklahoma. And, of course, the pollsters are the folks that these guys are aiming this campaign at.
There's 3 great teams in the Big 12 South with Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and us, and obviously voters have a real tough decision. I think the flaw is in the system. It's a good system, but it doesn't like what happened tonight to come up. So I think we can see through the weekend, but this team's a heck of a football team, and obviously they beat Oklahoma back in during the season and had maybe the toughest 4 games with Oklahoma, Missouri, Oklahoma State, and Tech that anybody played in the country, and had the last play of the game loss at Tech. So we're going to go wherever they tell us to, but it's going to be hard for somebody not to send this group forward.
Texas, of course, won on Thanksgiving Day. The Bedlam comes later tonight. Texas Tech has the Baylor Bears. So it comes down to this simply, DeMarco. Missouri will be right back in Kansas City next week. Who will they play in the Big 12 title game?
I'm going to say Oklahoma and feel confident in saying that because they will beat Oklahoma State on the road. They'll accomplish something Texas Tech or Texas have failed to do all year, win a big game on the road. So that, by virtue of that, they deserve a shot at the Big 12 championship. Oklahoma. If you say, look, Texas should be ahead of Oklahoma because Texas beat them, then Texas Tech should be ahead of Texas because Texas Tech beat them. What's good for them is good for the other team as well. So Oklahoma is playing the best football in the Big 12 South at this point in the season. They deserve the nod.
People talk a lot about Heisman Trophy and stuff. The Big 12 can make a case just by looking at the quarterbacks. This is the most potent offensive league in the country, and here's why. Look at the numbers on these guys.
I mean, those are just gaudy numbers. Obviously, half of the conference you see represented right there. And it doesn't even include guys like Robert Griffin we're seeing here today.
I'm kind of surprised, though, that Michael Crabtree hasn't also joined those 4, or would you put him in number 5?
I would probably put him in number 5, and he's not in this group because his quarterback's up there, and I don't think you have 2 from the same team. But I give it to Colt McCoy if we had to vote today, but Bradford, incredibly efficient.
For the touchdown. Harrell has time again, throws deep in the corner, looking for the signal. Touchdown, Texas Tech. Detron Lewis.
Ron just said it a moment ago, only the 3rd time your program has gone 11-1. Now you get a chance in a bowl game to go 12-1, but you got to be a spectator later tonight, don't you?
Yeah, we got to wait and see what happens. So I want to wish the very best of luck to Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy, and they give him a bad time about that one comment. I'm 47 years old and I'm still not a man, and I'm with him all the way.
All right, congratulations, Coach. Enjoy the win.
Here is our storyline tonight. If the Sooners win, there will be a 3-way tie for first in the Big 12 South, and the highest BCS-ranked team would advance. But if Oklahoma State wins, tie between Texas Tech, remember head-to-head on a 2-team tie, and that would send Texas Tech to play Missouri next Saturday night.
I'm on the field a couple hours before the game. Baylor's upsetting Texas Tech. Bob Stoops is keeping scores with his phone. Cale Gundy's, hey, it's tied up now. It's 28-28. And needless to say, they're pretty happy with the end result because now they feel they control their own destiny.
He split out of the backfield. Bradford in trouble. Faulting for the end zone as he was being run out of bounds.
And Bradford goes up in the air and gets forced out by Ori Lemon, but he ran away.
The talented tight end is over on the right. He's been a nightmare. Fumbled on the snap. Touchdown, Bradford. It is now becoming a little bit apparent that the injured left hand is causing a problem. End zone wide open, touchdown. Iglesias.
And I think the feeling on the Oklahoma sideline is that if they won the game on the road, that they would get enough juice by playing Oklahoma State in the computers that they would be able to jump up. They'll take their chances with the voters.
Sure.
I mean, the voters had them ahead already.
Yeah, that was the thing. Last week, what they did to Texas Tech at home impressed the coaches, impressed the Harris poll.
And Oklahoma now tied for first in the Big 12 South, and it is up to the BCS rankings to decide who will play Missouri. We'll find that out tomorrow.
The latest BCS rankings are out, having dealt a mortal blow to Texas's national title hopes, or so it appears. Despite a head-to-head victory over Oklahoma on a neutral field, the #2 Longhorns will fog the glass, watching as the Sooners, fresh off a 20-point beating of Oklahoma State in Stillwater, passed them when it mattered most. The differential, as you can see, a mere 13 thousandths of a point. If Oklahoma and Texas were in the ACC or the SEC, then Texas's 10-point win over Oklahoma in October would be sending the Longhorns to the conference championship game on Saturday.
Head-to-head, it doesn't go one way and not the other. So, and you know, and head-to-head, of course, and if you're going to take Tech out of it, you're only taking them out of it because of how bad we beat them. And they don't want to say that's why they're taking them out of it, but that says a lot right there. So it isn't that hard to figure out.
Two are on a collision course in the BCS championship game, just 26 days away. In the unlikely event of a three-way tie, the BCS formula will play no part in deciding the outcome. You okay with that, Coach?
If you're a Texas fan, should they be hoping there's a three-way tie? Or if you're a Texas fan, should they hope that you win and get beat by Missouri?
I'm not a Texas fan, so I'm not getting into hypotheticals or what they might be thinking.
I hope the next Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree are sitting in their living rooms and they're, you know, kind of astute, studious guys in addition to being talented, and they say, hey, I know what, you know, the game's over, but I'm going to watch 60 minutes. Oh, yeah, Texas Tech, oh, 60 minutes, yeah, that's me, you know, and then they come here. So hopefully that'll turn out that way.